Hello friends, I am Rao Sharma from Rashtra Shakti Vidyalaya and I study in class 10th in section A. And today we are going to read chapter number 9 of English, Madam Rides the Bus from First Flight, which is written by Valli Kannan. So let's start. Okay, so we will firstly talk about the introduction of this chapter. So in this chapter we will talk about an 8 years old girl named Valemai, and in short we will call her Valli. So we are going to discuss her development of desire for riding the bus and her journey into the world outside her village. That means we will read that how she get developed the desire for riding the bus, and what the views she saw while riding the bus and what the people she met while riding the bus, and introduction into the mystery of life and death. That means how she come to know about in deeper meaning of life and death than before. So now we will talk about the author of this chapter. So this story is written by Valli Kannan. Valli Kannan is the pseudonym of R.S. Krishna Semi, and he was a Tamil writer. He born on 12 November 1920 and died on 9 November 2006. As profession, he was a writer and journalist. He also got Sahitya Academy Award in 1978 for his critical work of modern Tamil poetry work, and he wrote a total of 75 books in his whole life. Okay, so now we will discuss about the theme of this chapter. So this chapter highlights the journey of a curious 8 years old girl named Valli or Vallemai. How she sacrificed like an adult against her temptations of buying peppermints, toys, balloons, and the things she liked in order to save 60 paise to ride the bus or to fulfill her desire. So, as we have discussed earlier that we are going to study about an 8 years old girl named Vallemai or Valli, and she was so curious in nature. Curious in nature because she did not have any friend of her age in a street, so she always used to stand in front of her doorway and used to observe the activities which are happening in the street, and she also used to observe the passenger which is used to get off and on of the bus, and by seeing their faces she developed a desire to ride the bus, and their faces also kindle her desire to ride the bus. For her curiosity, she also started to ask some discreet questions from the passengers who always used to get off and on of the bus. And at last, when she come to know that the fare of the bus is 60 paise, so she started to collect 60 paise by fighting against or sacrificing against her temptations of buying peppermints, toys, etc. This was also so difficult for her because it is very difficult for an 8 years old child to collect such a big amount by fighting against if his or her temptations. So we can say that she fight against her temptation like an adult. So Valli planned carefully for her journey, which is about to impossible for an 8 years old girl. It was very difficult for such a small girl to travel much far from her village alone. So when she collected 60 paise to ride the bus, she do many calculation and she planned very much, and after that she finally decided to board the bus, and it was so difficult for her, as we can also say that it is very difficult for such small child to plan very carefully for a journey, and we can also say that it was very difficult for a small child to leave her village, leave her home, and leave her street, and to travel a much far place from her village alone. So now her talkings to her friends and the bus conductor show her self-esteem, and her activities show her feeling of independence. For example, when the bus conductor offered his hand to Valli in order to help her, then she refused him politely. This show her feeling of independence and self-esteem. Then at last she also came to know about the life and death in deeper than before when she saw the dead body of young cow lying beside the roadside. Okay, so now our next topic is character analysis, and first of all we will analyze the character of Valli, which is also the main character of our story. So the first characteristic of Valli is that she was curious in nature, As we have discussed earlier that as she did not have any friend in a street of her age to play with her, so she always used to stand in front of a doorway and used to observe the activities happening in the street, and she always used to observe the passengers which got off and on of the bus. And she also developed a desire to ride the bus after seeing their faces. Then she also started to ask some discreet questions from the passengers who usually used to got off and on of the bus, and this shows her curious nature. And now her next characteristic is that she was very calculative and a good planner. She was very calculative and good planner because when she collected 60 paise for her journey, she do many of the calculations and planned for her journey in a very smart way, that we can say that she was a good planner. Now her next characteristic is that she was bold and fearful. Here these two words are not contradicting each other. I will explain them one by one. So our first characteristic is that she was bold in nature. She was bold in nature because she took her all decisions very boldly, like to board the bus on right time, and to travel the whole journey alone and without telling anyone. And she was fearful in nature because when she saw the dead body of young cow lying beside the roadside, she got very frightened from that view. Then she never again saw outside the window. This showed that she was also so fearful in nature. And now her next characteristic is that she was emotional in nature. She was emotional in nature because when they were going toward her town, then she saw the same cow that she has saw while going toward the town. Then after seeing that cow, she asked the bus conductor that is it the same cow that we have saw earlier when we were going to town. Then the bus driver only nodded his head, and when the bus conductor noticed his head, she felt very bad for him. This shows that she was also so emotional in nature. Okay, so now we will analyze the characteristics of the bus conductor. So his first characteristic is that he was humorous in nature. As it is also mentioned in the chapter that he was a man of jolly sort, that means he was humorous in nature. For example, when so he started to call Valli as madam to make a short fun of her and to create humor. So this is so that he was humorous in nature. And, and his second characteristic is that he was a caring person. He was caring because when Valli was returning to her home, then she asked Valli that will there be no one who will be waiting for you? That it shows that he was also so caring in nature. Okay, so his next characteristic is that he was also so emotional in nature. He was also so emotional in nature because when Valli asked him that is it the same cow that we have saw earlier when we were going toward the town, then he just nodded his head instead of saying anything. So this also show that he was also emotional in nature. Okay, so our next topic is vocabulary part. So in vocabulary part we have first word proud. So as we know that the meaning of proud is pride, but it is different in this chapter, because as the author also did not tell the real meaning of this proud, but as reader's perspective we have a meaning of this proud that Valli and her friends used to use this word as an informal word to disapprove anything. When they have to reject anything or when they have not to approve anything, they use this word proud. Okay, so our next word is kindle. So kindle means to set or to set fire. That, and this word is used in the story when used to watch the face of passengers who used to get off and on of the bus. Their faces just kindle her the desire to ride the bus. And our next word is slang expression. So meaning of slang expression, an informal word. For example, in the story, Valli and her friends use proud as a slang expression, or they use proud as an informal word. So now our next word is discrete questions. Discrete questions means when there are ranges of talks and there are ranges of things, and we only used to ask some certain questions from them, then they are discrete questions. And our next word is repulsive. Repulsive means to dislike anything strongly. And this word is used in this chapter when an woman come and beside Valli, and Valli found that woman very repulsive due to her outward looking. Okay, and our next word is jolly sort. Jolly sort means humorous in nature, and it is used to in this and it is used in the chapter to show that the bus conductor was a man of jolly sort. That means he was humorous in nature. Now the next word is painstaking. Painstaking means by much hard work, and it is used in this chapter to show that the Valli collected her money by much hard work, by much painstaking. And now our next word is venture out. So the meaning of venture out is to vent courageously, and it is used in this chapter to show that when Valli's mother used to take a nap in the afternoon, she used to venture out of her home, or she used to went out of her home very courageously. And now we have thoroughfare. Thoroughfare means a busy public road, or we can say that thoroughfare is a road which is always crowded with people. So now we are with the summary of this chapter. As many points we have discussed in previous topics, so we will just take a small recap of them. So as we know that this story is about a small 8-year-old girl whose name is Vallemai, and we call her Valli in short. And as she did not have any friend of her age in her street, so her favorite pastime was to stand in front of her doorway and used to observe the activities happening in the street. And the activity by which she get most fascinated was the bus, which is always to pass through her street every hour. And whenever the bus stops at the bus stand, she always used to observe the passengers who used to get off and on of the bus, and by watching them she also developed a desire to ride the bus at once. The faces of the passengers also kindled her the desire of riding the bus. And now whenever any of her friend usually travel by the bus and tried to share his or her experience with them, then Vallemai used to be so jealous and shout proud proud. No one of her friend, and even she did not know the meaning of this word proud proud, but they use this word as a slang expression, or they use this word as an informal word to disapprove anything. Now, for her curiosity, she started to listen to her neighbor's conversation and the passengers' conversation who always used to get off and on of the bus. And she also started to ask some discreet questions from them. And after asking some discreet questions from them, she came to know that the bus used to travel to the nearest town from her village, and it took around 45 minutes to travel such distance. And she also came to know that the fare of the bus was 30 paise per journey. And after listening that, she started to collecting the money by sacrificing her desires of buying peppermints, buying toys, buying balloons, etc. like an adult, because it was very difficult for such a small child to fight against his or her temptations and to collect such a big amount. So when she collected 60 paise for the bus fare, she decided to board the bus of 1 p.m. when her mother would nap. So on one fine spring day, she went for board the bus. And when she went to board the bus, she shouted behind the bus, "Stop the bus! Stop the bus!" And when the bus stopped, the bus conductor gets shocked to see that such a little girl wants to travel alone by bus. So, as she was a small girl, bus conductor offered his hand in order to help Valli to get on the bus, but Valli refused him politely. So, this line shows that she was independent, and she has a strong self-esteem. So, as we have discussed earlier that the conductor was a jolly sort of person, or we can say that he was humorous in nature, so he started to calling Valli as madam, to create humor and to make a short fun of her. Now when she boarded the bus, everyone was smiling after seeing her, and her response that she was talking like an adult. So Sorry, as she was unable to see anything out of the window while sitting due to the windshield. So she just climbed on her seat for a better view through the window. Now she saw many views out of the window that she she saw palm trees, grassland, distant mountains, and the blue sky. And there were acres and acres of green fields, and there was green as far as eyes could see. So she saw all these views with a great joy. Now, when the bus stopped at the bus stand, many passengers board the bus, and due to the fear of losing her seat, Vallemai just sat down on her seat again. And when the bus started again, a woman just came and sat beside Vallemai, and Valli found her woman very repulsive due to her outward looks, because she had big holes in her earlobes and such a ugly earrings in them, and she could smell the betel nut that the woman was chewing. And that woman also tried to enquire Valli, but Valli also replied her in a very smart way. And when Vallemai was looking out of the window, then suddenly she clapped with a great joy and get very amused after watching a young bull which was running very fast and with its tail very high in the air. It was running in front of their bus, as that animal was very afraid, so it was tried to dodging the vehicles, but it was coming again and again in front of their bus. Vallemai really enjoyed that view of the young cow. So when the bus reached the town, bus conductor advised Valli to go out of the bus and to purchase things that she want. But as she did not have enough money to buy things, so she just refused him. And even she did not accept the cold drink that was offered by the bus conductor at free of cost. And then again she paid the fare of the bus and set out her journey with the same bus. Now here comes the main point of the story, that when Valli was returning to her village, then she saw the dead body of the young cow. Then she asked the bus conductor that is it the same cow that we have saw earlier when we were going toward the town. Does the bus conductor just nodded his head. Then then she felt very bad for that young cow, and she also came to know about the meaning of life and death in deeper, because a lovable and beautiful creature just little a while ago had now suddenly lose its charm and its life, and the animal which she was enjoying very much, and it was looking so horrible. And by watching that the dead body of that cow, she got very frightened that she never watched outside the window again. And when she reached her village, she finally greeted the conductor and deboarded the bus. Now, when she returned her home, she found that her mother was awake and she was talking to one of her aunt from another street. As her aunt was very talkative in nature, so she just asked Valli that where were you? As she asked this question very casually and she did not expecting the answer, but in reply Valli just smiled, and then they just returned back to their conversation. Valli also poked her nose into their conversation and listened that how could we know everything, and even if we know about something, we don't know about it completely. That means how a human being can know everything, and even if we know something, we just don't know about it completely. After listening this, Valli just breathed, "Oh yes." And after asking from her aunt, she replied that I was just agreeing with my mother's statement. And here's the story end. Okay, so finally, what I have learned from the character of Valli. So I have learned one thing from the character of Valli, to be independent. Because if we are dependent on someone, then they can start to oppress us. For example, if I am dependent on someone for food, for money, for clothes, then he or she can start to oppress me, that you have to wash my clothes, that you have to wash my house, that you have to wash my utensils, or otherwise I will kick you from my home. So we should be stay independent. And second thing is that I have to just recall my old character, because earlier I was very uh, I used to take bold decisions, and I have very confidence like Wali. For example, when I was in 5th standard in my previous school, our principal just come to our classroom and asked that who want to be the anchor on the function of 26th January. And on those days, I even don't know meaning the anchor, but I still raise my hand that sir, I want to be the anchor. And then I do lot of hard work, and after the next day of function, our principal sir just praised me for my performance. So this is all just that I have learned from the character of Wali. So thank you very much and hope you will be able to understand this chapter.